From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up.
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, Corner Pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
and Corey Clark.
Ain't going nowhere. We're here. Good gosh, everybody. Thanks for hanging tight with us. Thanks to our partners over at StreamYard for getting this thing all resolved. It is Wake Up Warchant. It is live here on YouTube. We are presented, as always, by our great friends at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com. Or, hey, hit up the QR code that's on your screen. You can get everything you need. Get the menu. Put in your order to go. Check out the daily special. See what's going on later on at the night. You're listening to us on Thursday for the podcast, Corey. It's bingo night, which is really big deal over at the CP. Have we got any more information on Parrot Head, Jimmy Buffett ties to the CP?
Next time I'm over there, I'm going to ask. I'm not sure what's going on with that on Wednesday nights, but I will ask. And yeah, bingo, man, they take it for real. It's like 200. There's a lot of people there. They give out $250 prizes, not prizes, cash. So yeah, it's a good time, and it's always really packed for bingo. People love bingo, man. People love bingo.
It's timeless. Hopefully you folks love Warchant.com. It is the ultimate Seminole sports source. After all, hit that thumbs up. We would really appreciate it. Maybe even a 5-star rating and review if you're listening to us on your Wednesday or your Thursday podcast. I'm sorry. Let me scroll out of this window. But as you see here on the screen, we'll read it out to you out loud if you're listening to it on the podcast. Friday before the spring game, which is April 8th. That's the Friday before the spring game. Jeff Cameron Show, as always, 1 to 3 p.m., getting you ready for that great weekend. And then over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, the Warchant Happy Hour live with Jeff and Corey. That goes from 5 to 6. We'll do a little meet and greet afterwards. So come hang out with us. If you're just going to roll up into town for the game, that's cool. Head over to the Hotel Indigo. It's one of the most premier hotels that have recently opened up here in the capital city. It's in College Town. It's got a lovely view of the IM Fields to Doak. You can see the entire beautiful landscape around our jewel of a stadium over at the 6th floor deck at the Hotel Indigo. There will be a pregame show with Jeff and Tom, bless them, doing a pregame show for a spring game. Starting at 1, before that, a meet and greet at noon, then a call-in show after the game. So, I mean, we're ready to go, Corey. We're ready to go to the Belk Bowl. I don't know about you, but I think we're ready to go to the Belk Bowl. We're getting tuned up.
Man, I would love to go to the Belk Bowl. Imagine all that we could broadcast from from an actual Belk store up in North Carolina the day of that game. Yeah, man. Sorry about, again, apologies for the delay for the folks watching on YouTube. We're not sure what that was about. It was down all over the country, though. It wasn't just us. If you go search Twitter and StreamYard, you'll see it wasn't just Corey and Aslan having issues. It was live shows all over this great country having issues. But we're here now. We're here now, and we're ready to talk, I presume, a lot of football.
Yeah, that's right. Shout out to Noles fan 1231 on the YouTube machine. He commented on the podcast yesterday saying, so you guys are impressed that Jordan Travis can lead wide receivers properly on a 2-yard throw. There's your sign. Which, I mean, that's not what I was saying. I was kind of saying that, but that's not exactly what I was saying. So,
well, that's what I was saying is like he mainly running backs, but he does give running backs a chance to go make a play, which, when you throw it behind them, they don't make people miss. So he was leading them at least, which is good to see. But yeah, Jordan's been good. He's been fine. I think he's thrown, I don't know if he's even thrown an interception this spring. I don't remember one if he has, but maybe one. He had one yesterday that could have been, but normally he's been really good with the football.
Yeah. Eric was asking about that. Jordan's been out every practice, Eric. He's been participating. He's been out there without any sort of limitation. There's no brace, nothing taped up on his body that looks weird. So he's been out there rocking and rolling, man. Again, I do think he looks physically more developed. I do think he's added on some sustainable weight. I don't know what he weighed in last year. I know that they said he gained weight from 2020 going into 2021, but I don't know how much that really stuck on him. But I think he looks a little bit different. Throwing the ball nicely. So, it's all encouraging stuff right now. We'll start taking your questions here on the YouTube. But shout out to our guy, Ira Schofel, managing editor of Warchant.com, the tireless, never stop working dude. He was on the conference call Zoom with Mel Kiper Jr. of ESPN draft fame. This Jermaine Johnson guy, Corey, he's going to go maybe top 20 if Mel Kiper has his druthers about him. That's that's an incredible development for Jermaine Johnson. What a testimonial and a success story.
Well, I think he said there's a good chance, at least a decent chance he'd go top 10. Like he thinks he's top 15, probably for sure, somewhere in that neighborhood, but could go top 10 depending on who's drafting and what they need at that position with trades and whatnot. But yeah, man, it is what a great advertisement for transferring to Florida State. There is no chance that dude would be going in the first round if he had stayed at Georgia. Now, he would have a ring. We get it. There's some trade-off there. He would have gotten to play in a bowl game, a couple of postseason games, actually, 3. But he would not be going top 10 or top 15 just because he wouldn't have gotten he wouldn't have been able to prove himself like he did at Florida State. So really cool to see that he did that. And again, should be a really great advertisement for other people that want to come live in the beautiful city of Tallahassee, Aslan. Athens is great too. I get it. I've lived there. It was really cool. Tallahassee's nice as well, though.
Hey, so we had a pretty successful segment on Friday's show, Journalism School Corner, where we talked about what's on the record, off the record, what's all that sort of stuff mean. All kind of spurred about the status of Jarvis Brownlee, Miss Webb Silver Chief, wondering about Jarvis Brownlee, she adds as well, if there's any confusion about which Jarvis we're talking about. Do we ask Mike when we speak to him tomorrow, Corey, on Thursday? Like, do we bring it up or no? Should we? Should I? I'll do it. I'll be the bad guy for us. I don't want anybody.
Look, I'll just say this, having done this for a long time now, if there was something to share permanently, one way or the other, something would be shared with us. It's not like Norvell's like, man, I hope they ask me about Brownlee so I can clear the air and tell everybody what's what. If there had been something decided one way or the other, I'm quite certain there'd either be a statement released by the school or Mike Norvell would tell us to start a press conference. I don't think he would make us ask. In fact, it just wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, so but you can, sure, buddy, go for it. He likes you anyway.
No,
let's have that chemistry.
That's what I was saying. I'm not trying. I don't want to be rude. Sometimes you have to be pushy to kind of get some, questions and answers that you think are fair and are relevant to what's going on. But, I'm not going to push it just to push it out of nowhere. I'm just waiting to see. I'm really curious to see what happens, because I think there's 10% of people that are kind of curious to see, they just want to know the answer one way or the other. And they think it's going to be a tough kind of break. Another 10% of people want to know the answer because they're like, whatever, I can't wait to say good riddance. And then there's 80% of people are just waiting to see how this is going to fall. To where if it's Norvell's like, he's back with us, we laid out our expectations for what we want to do, and he's met him so far. So we hope to see that this will continue. And everyone's like, great, that's huge. Jarvis's 4th year, real big contributor, expecting a lot out of him. Or it's going to be like, yeah, we've parted ways or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm so glad. Like, who cares? It's not a big deal. He was responsible for us losing to Jacksonville State. Because I'm telling you right now, what we're seeing out there from the defensive backs, not that they don't need any help. I mean, any segment on a 5-7 football team could use a little bit more depth and a little bit more talent. But man, they're doing all right. So if Jarvis comes ready to play, that's a good thing. And if he doesn't, then they'll be all right. But we'll see. And I agree with you, Corey. I do think he would lead off with like, hey, guys, by the way, I have a statement to make about so-and-so. So.
Did you like when I asked him about Winston Wright? He's like, I appreciate that question, or whatever he said. It's like, hey, you got it, Mike. You got it. I'm here for you. I'll ask about your injured players.
Yeah. I know. I felt bad because I stole your question about Ja'Kai because nobody had a question for me. He was about to walk away. And I'm like, but what about Ja'Kai Douglas today? And I try to say that it would have been your question, but nonetheless, let's keep talking about receivers and statements and questions and good questions. Carol Palalis asking, do you feel we need to get another receiver from the transfer portal at this point with the recent news on Winston Wright Jr.?
I mean, I would, yes, sure, absolutely. I would maybe do if I had my druthers and you only had one spot left, which who knows how many spots they actually have left. I still would lean defensive line, and wide receiver would be second. But yeah, if a good one, it's all who's out there, right? If there's a good one out there that can start for you, like this kid definitely would have or might still. But I'm just not feeling great about it. I would definitely go with a wide. I would definitely go and offer a wide receiver. Sure, absolutely. I just don't know. Don't just take a dude to take a dude. You've got enough guys out there right now. Don't take a guy that's going to be the 7th best player. Go get a guy that's a 1 or a 2. And I don't know how many of those are out there.
I have not seen the status of Corey Rucker out of Arkansas State. And again, I'm not trying to pump up a guy that maybe
you love this dude, man.
I'm just in terms of like who I would go for, to your kind of point about, I'm not going to just take a body just to take a body. I would take somebody that's been productive, that can get it done. A guy that caught nearly 60 balls for 800 yards and 9 touchdowns. Yeah, man. Like, you 6 foot, 200 pounds. You can come here. We'll make it work.
Yeah, look what he did his first year.
Yeah,
16 for 453. Look at that average. That's crazy.
Deuce Span-esque with that. But I'm just trying to give like a barometer, I think, to what you and we feel would be probably a good thing to do. Anything else would maybe feel a little too reactive, which I don't think the staff would do. But no, Carol, they'll be all right. They're not going to be as good without him. Clearly, he's part of a piece of the puzzle, I think, to where we were feeling optimistic about maybe 8, 9 wins. You feel you got a guy that can return a kickoff for you and spark some good field position. Also got to create a whole bunch of first downs. Like Corey said, I think in the video that, we released, he was somewhere in the top 30, top 35 of first down receptions in all of Division I football last year.
Oh, really? There you see. Yeah. There you go. Look, man, they don't have anybody that's proven they can do that. I think Johnny Wilson can be that guy. Ja'Kai Douglas might win the Blitnikoff. Who knows? But this guy was the one that was a proven first down maker. And so, yeah, it's a big loss. If it's an actual loss and he doesn't play this year, it's a big loss.
Hey, how about this guy? It's the Godfather.
Guys, this is a very special occasion. The Godfather himself has been kind enough to grace us with his presence. The Godfather. This is his damn house. He lives there. He sleeps 20 feet away.
All of this in front of me. If you're listening to this podcast on Thursday, look at the YouTube video. Look at the decoration I did, Corey. I don't want to toot my horn too much, but look at this.
It's pretty good, man. It looks like it looks like an actual design at a store, like a display at a store that you took probably an hour and a half to put up.
Yeah, I feel like I'm
look at all those products.
I'm on QVC or something,
Yeah.
White Sands coffee will change your life. Put it in the tumbler. It's great. But for real, though, our friends at DeLuna help us out on these live shows. Making the best coffee that I've ever had. Do check them out, delunacoffee.com. Promo code WARCHANT15 is still good. Tumblers are still available. And you also get coffee or you can get hot cocoa. And you also get the dessert tin, sea salted caramels, chocolate covered espresso beans. Again, the coffee, the tumbler, it's like $40 is incredible. And this stuff is really, really flipping good. And
Stephanie drinks her DeLuna every morning. Old Stephanie's drinking the DeLuna. She loves it.
It smells amazing in here, by the way, too. I think maybe that's why I'm a little bit amped. I think I'm smelling the caffeine. But nonetheless, Ed's got a question for us. And Ed, we appreciate your partnership, man. You're the man. You're the man now, dog. How are the backup quarterbacks looking in case we don't get one in the transfer portal? By the way, Ed, check out Ira's story. Ira and Austin Cox partnered up to do a deep dive into what was out there in the transfer portal. Maybe why Florida State didn't ultimately go after somebody in there. But A.J. Duffy, a few years away probably. Tate, though, Corey, go for it.
Yeah, Tate's looked good, man. He's been a pleasant surprise. And it has been a surprise because I didn't see this coming. But he's been pretty darn good the last 3 practices out of 5. When they put the actual pads on, at least shoulder pads anyway, he's been good. He's looked like a decent college quarterback, which again, I know that's not a high bar to clear. I know nobody's going to be running out buying, tickets to the national championship game because Tate Rodemaker looks like a decent college quarterback, but he didn't look like that last year. He's never really looked like that in any time we've seen him. He's had good practices here and there. He's never had 3 in a row like this though. So I just think that's a really positive development. We'll see what he looks like in the spring game and moving forward. Duffy, I think, again, though, it's only 5 practices in. Let's see. I mean, he might learn stuff. He might be one of those dudes that learns stuff at a really rapid rate. Norvell talks about him like he does, and he's throwing everything at him. It's not like he's taking it easy with him. So we'll see what both of them look like at the end of this spring camp in the Garnet and Gold game. I do think that matters. I think for these 2 guys, that will matter. That performance, that game will matter. It might dictate. Like if they go and just wet themselves when they're playing in front of, it's not going to be a huge crowd. I know you guys will be there, but it's probably not going to be 80,000 strong, I'm not thinking. But even with 25,000 people in the stadium or 30 or whatever it is, if they go and wet their bed in that circumstance, wet the bed, whatever. It's weird. I guess you say wet the bed, but it's your bed. Then I think that's a real bad sign. I think that's, oh boy, okay, so they practiced well, but when it mattered, quote unquote, they did not perform well at all. They might have to go back in the portal. But right now, man, look, there aren't, and Ira's made this point a lot. I've tried to. There aren't a lot of great options out there. There aren't guys that want to go be backups at Florida State or anywhere else for that matter. And when you look around the ACC, look at all the teams in the ACC and what they have coming back as a backup quarterback. Like, I don't know what Tyler Van Dyke's backup quarterback, who's the backup quarterback at Miami. I can tell you doesn't have any experience or barely any. Boston College's backup, I think, has thrown 9 passes in his career. There's not a lot of great backup options. So, yeah, if these two guys wet themselves, I'm just going to go. I keep wanting to say the other verb, and I can't do that because this is a family show.
It is.
But if they soil themselves, then Norvell will really have a decision to make. But I don't see that happening. I think Rodemaker's looked good. He's looked like a capable backup quarterback. If Jordan Travis gets hurt and can't play, and you have to go to Tate Rodemaker, the team will be worse. That's how it is at every school in the country almost. Just about every school in the country, every football team in the country. When the starting quarterback gets hurt, you get worse. Now, right now, after 5 days of practice, I don't think it would be an absolute debacle if Rodemaker had to be the starting quarterback like I did 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. But we'll see. It's still a long spring practice.
Yeah, it's tough. I think so much of the optimism is out of the belief that Jordan is going to take a step forward, or you're going to get what you had out of him last year, which was, for all intents and purposes, a good quarterback, but with enhanced play around him. That if you lose that, I mean, you're almost kind of back at square one to a certain point, which might not be fair to Tate, but just kind of that would be the feeling. But again, I don't think you're being derelict. I don't know. I don't think you're being derelict of duty. No, I changed my mind. I do think you are. You got to get one more guy.
All right, there you go, Aslan. There you go.
I made up my mind. I was straddling the fence there. Yeah, I mean, listen. Do you want to be 5-1 and then have to hand the keys over to Tate Rodemaker? And I can say, well, do you want to be 5-1 and hand it over to the guy that couldn't win the job at Illinois? To which I would say touche. But I don't know, man. Just if Tate goes in and gives you one of those moments where he just looks like the moment's too big for him, like he looked against Jacksonville State, which was a true freshman. That was 2 years ago. A lot has changed. Like that's, if that were to happen, you're like, all right, we had a quarterback that's been known to not make it through 12 games. And we had a guy that has not really done all that well in spot duty. And this is what we went into the season with. Yeah.
It's a concern. But to answer the question, I think they both looked good. I think Rodemaker's looked very good for what I was expecting. And Duffy makes 2 or 3 throws a practice where you're like, oh man, that's legit. And it's not just, oh, he's got a strong arm. Xavier Lee had a strong arm, the strongest arm, apparently. He could throw it over mountains from his knees. But Duffy, the way he plays the position, the way he can get around rushers, the way he can manipulate rushers in the pocket and still get the throw off, rolling and then sprinting to his right and making that throw he did yesterday. He does some pretty wow stuff. But, yeah, he's still obviously got a lot to learn.
We're not the recruiting show usually, but we'll take this question from Texas Nole 02. It's his first post. His name is Chance. He's from a small town in East Texas called Fruitvale. Or Fruitvale or Fruitville?
Fruitvale, probably. If they wanted to be Fruitville, they shouldn't have spelled it like that.
All right. Population 418. Nobody famous from here. LOL. Let's change that, Texas Nole 02. Go be somebody.
That's right.
Any chance we go after the quarterback from Auburn that hit the portal? It would be this young man on our screen, Demetrius Davis, a dual threat, 5'11", 190 quarterback out of North Shore, Texas, which I think Robbie Reed, the guy that made Mike Gundy exclaim that he was 40, come after me. I think he was from North Shore. Maybe Vince Young went to North Shore. Anywho, I'm checking our PRB, the premium recruiting board over at warchant.com. Haven't seen anything from Michael. I haven't seen any kind of DMs flowing in and out of our information channels either. So
you think his name is Demetrius?
Demetrius?
It's got to be, right? It can't be Demetrius. Well, you got an A right there.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, go make a run at him if you want to. But you when you're a coach and you have these kind of situations, if you bring this guy in particular, somebody like this, a guy that was a highly 4-star kid that was at Auburn's looking for a better place where he can go play, what does that do for Duffy? What does that do for the Parsons kid that's signed on for you for next year? And if you're not worried about ruffling their feathers, and I'm not saying you should be, then by all means make a run at this kid. But I don't know anything about him to know whether he's even a viable option to be like a player here.
People asking about Destin Hill. Wrong show, guys. Wrong show. But hey, when we get Greedy Vance, just know we're going to ask him. We'll ask him, and hopefully we'll get some sort of answer on. Let's go to our guy Mark Sermons. Shout out to Mark.
Dollar bills, y'all.
$20 in the jar. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that, man.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Ed, for everything, buddy. Thank you, man. You're the best. You know that. Smells so good, doesn't it?
Some red, white, and brew, baby. Is Omar Graham going to get playing time? Trey Benson, running back number 1? Question mark.
Look, Omar Graham
ahead of him, but he's made some plays last 2 practices, right, Corey?
Yeah, he's kind of stood out from that group of the younger guys on defense. Him and Daniel Lyons, to me. Well, and how do we say his name? Azarie Thomas. Those 3 guys, I think, have been the 3 best that I've seen. Aslan's leaving. So when usually he does that when we got a huge chunk of change coming our way. He just rolls off. You usually just roll out of the picture when a huge chunk of change is coming our way. But with Omar Graham, man, he had another couple plays yesterday. Aslan, he had like two really nice plays. He had tackle for loss, and he had another one where there was a pretty big hole. It looked like there was a big hole, and he just came and filled it instinctually. Where you're like, oh, that's going somewhere, and literally chest to chest did the running back. Kind of shot out of a cannon a little bit. I like that kid. But I would be surprised if he gets playing time. There's definitely some instinctual stuff there, though, that is very encouraging. And then Trey Benson, no, I think Trayshawn Ward's the Trey Magnifique. He's the Trey Magnifique of the backfield that will start. Trayshawn Ward will, but they're going to split carries. And Lawrence Toafili is going to get some touches too. So I think they're going to be probably those 3 guys will be getting the bulk of the touches.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you, man. Eric Angel says he's hearing that LSU's already talking smack with our showdown in New Orleans. I'd hope not. They just started they're going to start spring ball tomorrow, Thursday, as you're listening to this on the podcast. Brian Kelly was asked today at his press conference on Wednesday, like, what's up with this late start? And he pretty much admitted we weren't ready. I mean, didn't have the bodies. They weren't conditioned enough to actually start their spring football until now. So I know we got 6 months, less than 6 months of that game. But between news of the fact that he says they were below 40 scholarship players on January 4th, but he somehow thinks they'll be able to get up to 84 by September. And the fact that Keyshawn Butte had another surgery on his right ankle, feeling good about this. So I don't think Mike Norvell's that unlucky after all. I think things are lining up kind of nicely to have a big name opponent that's going to maybe be coming in limping to that contest. So let him talk smack. We'll see who's got the last laugh at Pat O's at about midnight-ish, drinking some Hurricanes on the Monday after that game. So I'm not scared.
You're not going to drink any Hurricanes, are you?
Absolutely. When in Rome, bro.
That's true. You are in New Orleans. So you're going to listen to some jazz music, eat some etouffee, and then drink a Hurricane.
I can't eat etouffee. It's got swamp.
Get all that culture up in you. Get all that New Orleans culture.
Yeah. Greg Turner, heard Jared Verse is tearing it up out there. He's doing all right. He's doing good. Not tearing it up. Doing well.
He's impressive though. When you watch him for long stretches, in his one-on-ones and then the 11-on-11s, they really do have a hard time blocking him. But that might be because FSU's right tackles aren't any good. Who knows? But Jared Verse has definitely won most of those battles.
Yeah. Let's go to our guy, Octavio Cedeno. Do you feel that perhaps this team has the ability to surprise us? Surprise for the better. I don't think I will be shocked if they win less, if they don't make a bowl. I will be shocked and I will be irate.
I'm not going to want to do this anymore if they don't make a bowl.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is hard. This is hard to do. Not hard. Trust me, folks. I know all of you that have real jobs know what hard work really is. But you want to, it's not like we're selling something that's not true. The things I say, I genuinely think. I think Rodemaker does look better. I think this receiving core will be better. Blah, blah, blah. I think Norvell's a good coach. But if he doesn't make a bowl this year again, oh boy, what can you sell? Nobody's going to listen or care what we have to say. All right. That said, sure, I'll say this, there have been worse teams in the ACC talent-wise that have won 9 games. I can promise you that. And again, there's probably 2 teams on the schedule, maybe, that just completely outclass them in talent. And as you heard from Aslan, one of them probably is an LSU, and they've got a lot of issues with a first-year coach and having to overhaul like half of the roster. So, yeah, they could. I would not be stunned if they won 9, or I'd probably be stunned if they won 10, but I wouldn't be stunned if they won 9. So they have the ability. It really, man, I hate to do it. Pass rush and quarterback. Those are the 2 things. If the quarterback can be good, like a good, not just pretty good, not just good for Florida State, but a good quarterback, and he stays healthy, and the defensive line can figure out a way to rush the passer without a top 15 pick. I like their chances to be a pretty good team. But it all comes down to those 2 things, in my opinion.
Steve Johnson, are the linebackers an add this year? I guess a positive, a net gain, a strength. I don't.
Or they need to add another one.
Yeah,
they'll be better, right? I mean, look, it's the same thing we talked about with and I think you mentioned this yesterday. Maybe it was Cameron. I do so many of these, Aslan. I can't remember who's making points when they're not my own. But when you bring in a really good receiver, that knocks everybody down. Now Pokey doesn't have to be your number 1. You hope he's your number 3 or your number 4 or your number 2. So he's just not your number 1. Well, Kalen DeLoach now becomes your number 2 linebacker. You have a guy that's better than him, in my opinion, and he's certainly been more productive in his career with Bethune, who's now your number 1, which makes DeLoach your number 2. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, Kalen DeLoach isn't a bad number 2 option. And then Gaynor is what, your 3rd or 4th? All of a sudden with Lundy thrown in there too. Like I think there's they should be better. Yeah, they have to be better with Bethune. As long as they're healthy, they have to be better. Still not a ton of great options there. But if the guys that are going to be playing a lot, and Lundy, Gaynor, and DeLoach played a ton last year, when you throw Bethune into the mix, if they can stay healthy and on the field, then yeah, they should be. They're not going to be the best linebacking core in the conference, the division, the state. I don't know, but they will be better than they were last year. And I thought DeLoach was pretty good at the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree. Cameron with a toughie. How's Tony Tokarz doing in his new quarterback coaching role? I mean, they're doing the same work they were doing with Kenny. I mean, they're running pretty much the same drills at the same periods, at the same practices. So maybe not as much juice permeating from that coach, but they're working. Again, Tate's coming along.
He's crushing it with Rodemaker, man. Yeah, he's crushing it with Rodemaker.
Unfortunately, we won't be able to see them scrimmage, which is, we get it. Can't see everything. It's fine. But maybe we'll get some numbers. Maybe we'll hear some stuff that'll maybe give us a little bit of idea of how Jordan's performing in a brunt of 11 on 11 against some ones all the time. So, but yeah, I mean, Tony's out there doing his thing. There's no sort of, disorganizational tip-off that's going on. We're not seeing anything from the quarterbacks. We're like, oh, they don't know what they're doing now. They're off schedule. Wish to give you more meat on the bone, Cameron, but yeah, he's out there doing his job. Looks every bit the way that Kenny was doing his job. So keeping things rolling here on the YouTube show. If you get the thumbs up, everybody, we'd appreciate it. Johnny Buckets wants to keep talking about Trey Benson, Corey. Is he really a dude?
He has the makings of being one. He moves very well, but there's nothing we've seen in full pads where you're like, oh, he's definitely the guy instead of Trayshawn Ward. But he's got some stuff to him. He's big, he's fast, he's quick. He can kind of stop and cut on a dime, which I didn't know was there. But no, man, I don't know that he's running back 1. I would still take. I think when I watch this team, and they also hold him out a little bit more than they do Trayshawn. I feel like, don't you, Aslan? Like, so yes. Because he's coming back from an injury, he doesn't get the at bats that Trayshawn and Rodney Hill get, and the CJ Campbell, and Corey Wren, all those guys. I think they get all this. Trayshawn has been the one that stood out the most as far as making plays out of the backfield, whether it be catching the swing passes that Jordan Travis throws so well, or running hitting the holes. I think I would be surprised if it wasn't Trayshawn Ward that's the guy. But Trey Benson's could be a really nice piece. And if he becomes what they think he might be, then yeah, maybe by the end of the year, maybe by the middle of the year, he's the guy you're giving the ball to 18, 20 times a game.
Shout out to Texas Nolo too, by the way, our guy in Fruitvale, Texas. He says he just joined Warchant today.
Welcome aboard, man. Welcome aboard.
That gets you a little bit of this. Dan Squatch. I haven't heard the names George Wilson or Byron Turner Jr. yet. How's that first offseason paying off? Or paying out?
I don't remember seeing them do, and this isn't a knock because I don't always watch the defensive ends. I don't remember seeing them really flash at all so far. But keep in mind, I haven't looked at them much. So I don't want you to think, oh, they're getting destroyed. They're not any good. They haven't made any, I just haven't noticed them. But I'll make a point. Tomorrow or Thursday to try to notice them. What you looking at, man?
I want to say I think I had Byron Turner making a play last week, but I can't confirm it through my notes so quickly. But they're out there. They're practicing. I know Patrick Payton's another guy that I think somebody asked about as well. I mean, not to speak for Corey, but listen, they open up practice with some individual drills, and then they go 11 on 11 for like 5 minutes, and then they break off into a couple more individual drills, and they do a lot of special teams. After that, they'll do one-on-ones, receivers on defensive backs. There's some sort of offensive line coaching. They're going by themselves. Defensive line's going by themselves. Then they'll go 7-on-7. What I'm trying to say is that there's not a lot of kind of appealing, aesthetically nice opportunities from, 200 yards away and 50 feet up in the air to kind of really see how the hand placement on a Patrick Payton on his pass rush is coming along. So, and I mean, shout out to Tom. I mean, Tom was doing a really good job of keeping up with pass rush. But again, like we'll see them do pass rush stuff where there'll be 5 offensive linemen. They'll have a front. They'll have 3 or 4 guys on defensive front. And, depending on whose responsibility is that drill, the right end will rush. And then sometimes he's getting double teamed. And then he's knifing one way. Sometimes he's going well around the end. And Odell's not happy with him. But then Alex is not happy with his offensive lineman. And it's so tough to tell who won that rep, who didn't win that rep, that I almost feel like it's not worth it for me to watch it because I won't have a lot to share about it. So maybe
you can notice when one dominates. Like when an offensive lineman stones a guy or when the defensive end or tackle just destroys a lineman, you can see that. But most of them aren't like that. Most of them are just, pretty good battles and maybe one guy wins, one guy doesn't, but it's not overwhelming. And with these reps, somebody like Wilson or Turner, any of them, they're probably only getting 2 or 3 of those reps every practice, right? Most of the time, most of what they're doing during their time at practice, like Aslan said, is straight positional drills with just their other defensive ends. So it's hard to know unless you're looking at like hip flexion and you're looking for certain things. It's hard to really know from where we are.
Moving things along here on our live show on YouTube, taking all your folks' questions. We do appreciate it. I was trying to pull something up here on the background, but I couldn't. But nonetheless, we'll find something for Deshaun Platter wants to know how my love life's going. I don't have one right now. It's not going well at all.
Come on, man.
I'm trying one of these days. One of these.
Have you been on Hinge yet? Have you gotten on Hinge?
Yeah, we've been using the Hinge. Hasn't been fruitful either. Let's see here. There's got to be some kind of good question here. All right, let's.
I thought you were going to plop up your Hinge profile. You should do that.
Talking to this young lady right now. Kayvon, which will take any question from him that doesn't involve us trying to tell Ira to shave his head. Kayvon really wants him to shave his head. Not going to happen. When are we going to start hearing personnel decisions regarding basketball?
Very good question. I would think. What do we got? After this week, we'll be in that'll be the final 4 teams, and 2 weeks is the final 4. A week and a half will be the final 4. I feel like it would be after that. I know some some guys have already announced, but it doesn't seem like there's a flood of these kind of announcements in college basketball yet. Like, look, Kentucky just lost. By the way, just crazy. Kentucky just lost, and half that team's going pro, probably more than that. And I don't know that many of those guys have already announced their intentions. So I think I don't know if it's like basketball etiquette to wait until the Final Four is over to like not take away attention, but there haven't been a ton of those announcements quite yet. So I would assume to completely sit on the fence and not give you an answer, I would say in the next 2.5, 3 weeks is when you'd hear. And hopefully they're all saying they're coming back. I'm talking about the freshmen. None of those dudes need to leave.
Our dude in the village is Wes asking, through the first 5 practices, who's been the biggest surprise on offense and defense? Darian Williamson's looked good to me. I hate answering these questions, not because I don't want to help out and answer guys' questions, but then I feel like I haven't seen anybody out there that makes you think, man, watch out. This guy's going to change the way games or the outcomes of football games. I haven't seen that yet, which, again, it's only 5 practices, so I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer on this sort of stuff, but it's the whole reason I made that comment the other day about Tom and Corey, like, seeing something and being like, wow, that was really good. And I'm just kind of like, well, that felt kind of pedestrian to me, but to them, it looked good. So we're all different kind of.
Well, we wouldn't be give to get this program back to pedestrian again.
Yeah.
Let's be pedestrian.
Yeah. But Darian Williamson's a guy that we largely didn't talk about. I think kind of maybe fell out of plans that whatever we had for him as fans, because Winston Wright was coming here and Deuce Spann was coming here and Johnny Wilson and Micah Pittman. But he's been out there every single day making catches in traffic, making catches in coverage. So at least gives you kind of like, all right, maybe there's something to be said about what he can help, contribute to this program. Mike Norvell said last week, pointed out, kind of reminded all of us that he had a knee injury or some sort of injury that he sustained his senior year of high school. So 2020 COVID year, freshman year, going to be rocky, maybe kind of getting into the groove. 2021. Now this is the year to kind of pay off. So, on offense, I would say him. Defensively, I don't know. You go, Corey. Let me ruminate on that one a little bit longer.
Well, I have 2. Daniel Lyons, who probably isn't going to play a ton, but every practice that guy's making plays. He's a freshman defensive tackle. He weighs 283. He looks thin out there compared to Fabian Lovett and Cooper. He looks like a child. But he can really move. He's got some stuff to him. It's just I don't think he's going to be big enough or strong enough to make a huge impact this season. And frankly, you don't want him to. You're in a bad spot if freshman defensive tackles are having to come in and play a lot for you. But he has a chance to be something. And then on offense, I've written about him 3-4 times. I talk about him all the time, especially with the Winston Wright news. I think this is more practical, not practical, but it will like Darian Williamson. I just don't know what his role on this team will be. And I agree with Aslan. He has been good. He's made some plays, but when Johnny Wilson is I don't know that he's going to beat out those other guys. I don't know. He seems kind of redundant when it comes to him and Johnny Wilson. I just think Johnny Wilson's better than him. Bigger, probably not as fast, but bigger and a better receiver. And I feel like they're playing the same position. So with that in mind, for the practical use of it, Ja'Kai Douglas has been the guy that's been surprised me from the jump. And I know it's one-on-one and they don't play football one-on-one, but he cannot be covered one-on-one by anybody on this team. And that's, you can say, well, yeah, most receivers shouldn't be able to be covered one-on-one. Well, a lot of these guys are, at least occasionally, and he never is. He's been really good, and he's made big plays in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 too. So that's a guy that, especially if Winston Wright can't go, he might be a guy that really takes that next step and becomes, a big time, at least a productive player for this team.
I'm still thinking about it, Wes. I'll get back to you on who I think has been a standout there. Gator Kirk, will the coaches have a press conference after the scrimmage on Saturday, Corey?
I think it's a Zoom one, right?
Yep, that's correct.
What are you doing over there?
I'm trying to get us paid.
So
yeah,
smart.
Sometimes you stall well for me. Other times you call me out right in the middle of the show. Deshaun Platter.
I was speaking for the viewers. Like, what's Aslan doing? Is he texting someone?
I'm not.
Are you on Hinge? You're not on Hinge right now, are you?
I'm not on Hinge. I didn't even get to read this question. Deshaun Platter. If FSU doesn't make a bowl game with a healthy Travis, do we move on from Norvell? I think they should. Not a Norvell doubter, but if he doesn't show us a much improved offense in year 3, I'm done. No Dion, though. You're in the minority on that, Deshaun, but
come back in November if he goes 5-7 again and Travis played every game. Yeah, and we'll see what I don't think Deshaun will be in the minority at that point. I'm not saying it would happen. I'm saying there would be most Florida State fans would agree with that sentiment.
Cameron's back to ask, are the scrimmages full contact or just wrap-ups? they're supposed to be pretty much a stud. But Renardo Green the other day dragged somebody down. He didn't get in trouble for it, but yeah, they're banging, but it's not dragged to the ground tackling. It's pretty much stud up, mostly. So it's good. Johnny Buckets, Corey, when was the last time you saw a Florida State team look this complete and deep as a football team?
Look, Johnny, I appreciate the question. I don't want it to get it twisted here. This looks like a better football team. I guess I'll answer it in the way it was intended. I guess 16, 17. I think it could. Can you imagine, Aslan, if this is the best team since 2017? Florida State fans would be jumping for joy. That's what those were the words that were about to come out of my mouth. It could be the best FSU team since 17. You remember that one, the Shreveport Bowl?
Watch out, Shreveport. Here we come.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they're better. They're just better. They're not complete. Complete implies like they're really good at a lot of different positions. I think they're adequate. Wouldn't you say they're adequate, maybe, Aslan, at every position?
Yeah, Grumpy BK was asking us over on the Tribal Council. He commented about, we keep talking about receivers. A lot of it's because that's the most entertaining kind of thing that we can watch. But he was just like, are they really awesome, or are you guys just kind of over-exaggerating or talking maybe too much about it? They are now at an adequate level there. They are ready to compete and win every game on their schedule now with what they have at wide receiver. Will they? No, they're not going to. But again, man, they're going to line up against defensive backs and a secondary that they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's, because they've got talented, competent, able guys. And again, man, shout out to Ira, who was really kind of pointing at that, probably the longest out of anybody on the beat about what they had at receiver. I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. Bring Mackenzie Milton in here, a guy that's going to maybe take more chances, throw the ball, lead guys, won't be scared to turn the ball over, and you'll be fine at receiver. Wrong. Go get dudes. They went and got some dudes. Maybe not
dudes. You'd say wouldn't you say the last 2 years, though, 2020 in particular, but even last year, they were deficient in multiple positions, receiver being probably chief among them. But then offensive line wasn't great, especially when Devontae Love-Taylor got hurt. Linebacker certainly wasn't great. They're better at all those positions. They're not good. I hope nobody has ever heard me say that this is an awesome receiving core, because I should stop working. This shouldn't be my job if I said that, because it's not. But it is adequate and maybe could be good. We'll see what these guys end up being. But it's certainly better. And I think across the board, they are adequate at every position. There is not a position where you're like, man, they are just awful there, or they are really bad. They are below par in the ACC at that position, that position, and that position. That's not the case anymore. They're not stellar at maybe any position. But hey, baby steps, folks. They're not awful. So that's my hope for the upcoming season. By the way, do you know what P's and Q's stands for? Mind your P's and Q's.
Please share. I do not know. I would like to know.
I heard it on a podcast, and I think it's right. I didn't look it up though. Is pints and quarts. It's a saying from Britain when you were in a bar or whatever they call them. They don't call it pub. Don't get too out of hand. Mind your P's and Q's. Like mind your pints and quarts. Don't drink too much.
I'm on it.
I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong though. Folks, let me know.
Yeah. Be on your P's and Q's. Be responsible when you're picking your winners out there on the sports books, everybody. Tomorrow, not only football returns for spring football and a practice, but March Madness continues. And head over to mybookie.ag. And it doesn't matter whether you're filling out multiple brackets, betting on your national champ, or looking for some player and game props, MyBookie has got you covered. Sign up today. Mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT, and you'll get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. So drop $200, you'll be able to play with $300 worth on any sort of picks you would like to go with using the promo code WARCHANT. College ball, pro, fight game, UFC, MMA, it's all at mybookie.ag, and they've got live betting. Use that one responsibly. It's fun, though. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. And now I present to you, folks, my menu for this weekend. Use this extremely responsibly. Corey, I got Villanova on the money line, which isn't a big jump. They are favored after all.
Right.
We're gonna think St. Peter's is somehow going to keep it close against Purdue. Really a little bit nervous about that, but scared money don't make money. So hop on me with everybody. And I think Providence is going to pull off the upset, and we're going to take the under on Iowa State, Miami. I know Miami scores 70 points every time they play, but this Iowa State team just grinds everything to a gross halt. So pick any of those that you would like. If you want to pick all of them together, you have nearly 2,000 to 1 odds. So if you put $200 down, you can win $3,800. You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah,
MyBookie.ag. Somebody's asking about special teams, and Ed also follows up, so we'll pop it up there. I did see Micah Pittman back there. He is coming up. He is catching the ball on punt returns. He is assertive.
Hallelujah.
Anybody else catching your eye with fielding punts and stuff, Corey? They'll do it outside in that first like 2 periods before they'll break out and do their 11-on-11. So you're usually inside.
No, and I'll be honest, probably shouldn't admit this, but when they were doing the special teams work, especially yesterday, I walked down about 30 feet and watched FSU take batting practice. I'd rather watch that than special teams work. But yes, I did hear from people that Micah Pittman is running up and catching punts, which is very, very good news.
Jimbo Jangles, better chance. Corey survives a cage match with Caden Lyles, Jared Verse, or 100 killer squirrels.
Well, definitely not the squirrels. That's a lot of squirrels, man. Just picture like 10 squirrels, and then put 90 more on top of them. That's not happening. Look, man, there's Caden Lyles would destroy. Caden Lyles would kill me. Like, what was the guy's name in Game of Thrones when they had the battle?
Mountain.
Mountain, yeah, where he crushed the guy's head. Spoiler alert. The dude was dancing around after, so that would be Caden Lyles. I would stand no chance. Verse, a little smaller, but I couldn't get away. They're all. I'm not surviving any of those, gang. I think I would last the longest with probably the killer squirrels because I think it would take them longer to find the right artery.
William Flynn, in your opinions, FSU, super regional host in baseball?
So basically, The question is, would they be a top 8 seed? We'll see. They have the best starting pitching in the country. That's a good thing to have. It's a really nice thing to have up your sleeve. You have the best 4 starting pitchers in the United States. It's just some other things they still have to clean up or get better at. I'm still not in love with the offense. Carry-on's been great at shortstop. I think their infield defense is actually going to be pretty good. But yes, they still have in the bullpen still some concerns. But yeah, they certainly could. They're 7th in the RPI right now.
I think so.
All right. Good. Yeah, let's do it.
And hey, maybe we'll get lucky like that time Sam Houston State beat whoever, and we made it, and we ended up hosting them before the 17 CWS. So STS 86. I feel some way about that name. I feel like they've said something negative about me before, but it's okay. We'll pop up the question. With all these new positions that we have hired, analysts and such, are we going to see a bigger benefit in recruiting or actual game day planning and execution? I think
that's certainly the idea, right?
Well, I think one leads into the other, but I think the former more so than the latter. I mean,
is the question which will see the bigger benefit, you think? Or is he saying, would you see a bigger benefit in both? Because you're definitely going to, I look, at the end of the day, who knows what kids are going to sign with Florida State for? Because there's a lot of money out there now. A lot. That was awesome, by the way, the Lane Kiffin thing, Aslan. Yeah. Making fun of Jimbo Fisher. But yeah, no, it definitely, I mean, they've come up with titles that we didn't even know existed in the recruiting for the recruiting staff and the football staff as a whole. They've just made up stuff, director of VP of player personnel and just coming up with stuff to put on a business card. But yes, theoretically, that's exactly how it's supposed to work. The more people you have working, hopefully good people, quality people, it should benefit every part of the program. But, again, we'll see. We'll see what these guys actually, how much these guys matter, and women, how much these men and women matter to the final product.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth doing these hires.
Yeah. It's certainly better than not having them.
Yeah. Because I don't know where you would be able to push that money. I don't know if you could be we could have used it on NIL. I don't think it works that way necessarily. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of these hires have been back office. It's been recruiting stuff, liaisons, trying to develop better relationships, better organization, and less, I think, of game day planning, execution stuff. I mean, I don't know if they've matched Alabama's infrastructure in terms of, failed NFL coaches breaking down film for them and stuff. Right. So, but again, I mean, some of these names that Michael Langston's thrown out there when we've done these wrap-ups on the Monday podcast, which you folks should check out, or at least go to the PRB and you can kind of quickly scan through it. I mean, they're going after guys that are being pursued by Georgia, like Clemson, Oklahoma, these teams are in their top 8s or whatever they're releasing. So you've got to fish in those waters. And they've found some gems, they hope, here in the last 2-3 years where they've been unable to recruit it at full power because of whatever COVID or not having a successful product. But you can't win with that. So they're hoping that all these guys are going to help develop relationships. Listen to that. The Gabe Fertitta guy, I mean, we'll see what's going to happen with him because he was coaching high school ball quite successfully in Louisiana. And I'm sure Brian Kelly could use help holding that state down. And Mike Norvell went and got him. And there's a 5-star receiver that Florida State's in the mix for because of that relationship. So you would hope that kind of stuff would pay off.
They certainly have a ton of recruits out there every day, every practice. I just don't remember, not that we've been able to watch spring practice for the last 15 years since I've been doing this, but I just don't remember a flood of recruits like they seem on these unofficial visits that they organize all these unofficial visits for. It's been a lot. It's been a deluge of recruits every time we're out there.
Which, by the way, thanks for bringing that up, Corey. You folks don't wonder it, but I do because it's my job. It's my schedule. But he kind of let us know why he does do spring football practice in the afternoon, but fall they go in the morning. He does it for that specific reason that Corey just mentioned, is that they practice in the spring so that they can have all these coaches bring their teams, check out campus, come check out practice during the spring, provide that time, because otherwise you can't have high school kids show up at 8 o'clock in the morning to come, tour campus or whatever. So this spring football is not only about getting better on the field, but it's also them developing more relationships and being able to market their program as much as they can to guys that are out there. So well done on that. Good idea, Mike. Jay Ryder, 82. What is Amari Gainer's role? Has he shown anything that will project to playing time? I think his clock is running out.
What do you think, Aslan? What's that? Answer that first question. What is his role? I have a hard time pinpointing it.
I mean, right now, is he not part of the 4-2-5? Is he not one of your second linebackers? Is he a third down sub package pass rush?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's just he's never. He certainly looks the part.
I have not marked him down. He's out there. He's out there playing, and he's playing with important people. But I haven't marked him down. Not that this is the end all be all, but I haven't seen him flash.
Yeah, he made one play yesterday where I noticed him, but he was going up against, I don't know how else to say it, probably the third team. So I don't know what their plans are for him or what he's going to do. You just feel like you don't have a lot of guys that look like that at that size that can run like he can. No, he's not, he's not that dude from Clemson a few years ago, but he's a pretty mobile kid for his size, and he's been okay. But man, this team needs something more than okay. And is that all he's going to be, is okay? Because they got plenty of those dudes. It would be nice if he took a big step and became a big time contributor and productive. And I don't know if that's third down rushing more off the edge, but it just hasn't materialized yet. And I don't know. I certainly don't think he's one of the top 2 linebackers on this team. And I'm not even sure he's in the top 3. But he played last year. He played a good number of snaps. I think he had 50 or 60 tackles. He's never become like a game-changing type player, or even what you'd call a good defensive player. He just hasn't made those plays, and it'd be nice if he started.
I think Pro Football Focus likes him a lot, though, for whatever that's worth. They usually grade him pretty high. BD, B Damp Man BD. BD Amp Man BD. I don't know.
What do you think the BD stands for?
Who knows, man? Barring catastrophic injuries, is this offense capable of scoring 30 points per game? They scored 27.6 last year, which was 74th. I think we've looked at this before. Something like 60 teams averaged 30 points or more. Pulling up right now. 52. Memphis at 30.1 was the lowest of the 30 point. And then it went 53rd was Middle Tennessee State with 29.8. So you look at that and you're like, you got to average 2.4 more points. That's a piece of cake. But that means you have to also jump up like 30 spots pretty much.
The only thing they did well last year, and they did it remarkably well, was red zone offense. They were very good. I think they scored something crazy. Like they're on a streak of scoring like the last 30 times they were in the red zone or something.
15th in the nation. Look at that. I mean, they're 90. They converted 91% of the time nearly. I mean, they're 15th.
I think the last time they didn't was when Milton fumbled on the QB sneak against Wake Forest at the half-yard line. I think that was the last time they didn't score inside the red zone, at least kick a field goal. So they were really good there. But when you look at all those other numbers, total offense, 66th? Or no, that's defense. Go up a little bit, Aslan. What we got there? Yeah, an 80th in total offense, 74th in scoring offense, 94th in passing offense, third down conversion percentage, 105, fourth down conversion percentage. And my man likes to go for it all the time. How about getting a little better at that? 128. Like that, that's all got to get better. But yes, if those, especially third down, if you can go from converting 34.6 to just 40, yes, you're going to score 4 or 5 more points per game, I would imagine. You just get the ball longer, you move the ball farther. It just stands to reason you're going to score more points. But yes, I do think, yes, if they don't, you got a problem. Let's put it that way. If you can't score 30 points per game in 2022, your third year, even if you want to call COVID a half a year, your second and a half year to program with a returning starting quarterback and an influx of wide receivers, if you can't score 30 points now, there's a problem with your offense. Go get another one.
Kayvon's back. What's our strongest unit? I mean, listen.
That's an issue too, right? Like there aren't any that are bad. It would be hard. I think it would be hard to answer what's the worst unit, but it's also hard to answer what's the strongest unit. They're all kind of middling to above average, a little bit above average maybe for some of them. Secondary, maybe. Duke Cooper, by the way, Aslan's mentioned him. I wrote about him. He's been terrific. He looks like he could be like an all-ACC type corner before he's done if he keeps progressing. Like he's just got an attitude about him. Not only that, a lot of people can think they're good. He is good. He doesn't let many balls get caught on him at all. And Noles is good too. And Jamie Robinson is good. So maybe the secondary, I guess, you'd say is probably the best, but I don't think it's not the Sky Patrol from 1989. It's not T-Buck back there, or 1990, I should say. But still, it's probably the best position group.
Yeah, Jamie Robinson's really good. Duke Cooper's really good. Like Jordan Travis is probably really good in this conference as a starting quarterback if he stays healthy. So, I mean, but behind him, I don't know what you feel about the depth, but I mean, if you just have one good quarterback, that's all you really need. Listen, I like what they've got on offensive line. I do. They've, at least relative to what they've had, they have options. They've got guys they can kick in and out. If a guy goes out with cramps, if a guy gets injured in the middle of a game, they're not going to have to trot somebody out there where you're just like, oh gosh, Turnstile City, here we go. Man, they have solutions and options there. Linebacker probably not maybe as high there. I mean, receiver again, I don't know if anybody's going to be all ACC. Like Duke Cooper is going to probably be all ACC. Jamie Robinson's probably going to be all ACC. Jordan probably will miss the cut. I don't know who else at what position we would think could be at that spot. So hard to say strongest unit. Maybe Bob Scott will sneak in there. Maybe as a tackle.
Okay.
He's been like the only constant. I know we can't talk too much about specifics, but he's pretty entrenched. Pretty entrenched, I guess you could say. Texas Noel, our newest subscriber, assuming they both hang around, who is the quarterback that starts for us in our next ACC championship game? Duffy, Parson, or someone else?
I mean, I guess I'll say Duffy.
Yeah.
2 years from now, to what is that, 2024? He'll hang around, right? And watch Jordan Travis play quarterback for 2 years. That's what all these quarterbacks love to do. They love to watch other guys start. So he won't get antsy like Chubba and Lincoln. But hey, if he's around, I would guess Duffy.
Carol, by the way, confirms P's and Q's was because business deals and commerce were done at pubs for the merchants and the bankers. So you were to mind your pints and quarts. In other words, do not drink too much and stay professional. Thank you, Carol.
Appreciate now you guys all know. Well, thank you, Carol, for
confirming
my what P's and Q's stand for. We always try to be a little educational on this show. You know that.
Jason L'Etoile. I love French names, but I'm ruining it. I'm sorry. He says, PSA, if you somehow accidentally pour cocktail sauce on your nachos, let it play out. Relatively new listener, just bought season tickets. Go Noles.
Oh, there you go. Welcome, Jason. That sounds awful, but I guess it's not that far different. It's not that much different than the consistency of salsa. But I don't know about cocktail sauce on a chip. Or on nachos too. So you're pouring it on like cheese and lettuce and onions and peppers and stuff. Oh, all right.
Big Coop, how's he looking?
So he's not as fast as Mike Norvell. That gets proven every practice because what they do in the IPF is they all huddle. The whole team huddles at the one end zone for like the let's go, let's have a great practice, that kind of thing after they're done stretching. And then the defensive linemen, their first drill is all the way on the other side of the IPF, 100 yards away, 110 yards away. So as soon as Norvell blows the whistle, he and Cooper do a foot race every practice. And Cooper moves pretty well, but, Norvell's a former wide receiver and is in, probably weighs, I would guess, 160 pounds less than Cooper. But yeah, I know that Odell's liked him. I've heard Odell's voice bellowing out a few times. That's how you do it, Coop. That's how you do it. But honestly, 91-0 aren't getting a ton of run where we know what they are, right? Like I think they really do work these other guys a little bit more in the spring because they know what 0 and 91 are. But Cooper's looked fine. He's looked he's gotten attaboys from Odell every day that I've watched.
B. Riley, over under 3,300 passing yards, 4,000 total yards for Jordan Travis.
Under. That's 300. No, that's way under. I would put it at if I was doing Jordan Travis, I think I would do what's that? 2,400. I would do 2,500 yards passing would be my over under, and 3,100 total. I think those would be my over unders.
I mean,
200 yards a game passing, which is exactly what they averaged last year. I just want him to prove it. Now, he did throw over 200 the last 3 games after not doing it all season, I don't think. The last 3 games, he threw for over 200 yards in each of them. But yeah, again, and there's always the injury concerns. Right?
I mean,
look at Corey. I nailed that.
I mean,
but look, like UMass.
274, that was his career high, I think, right against Miami, the 274.
It had to be, unless he threw for more against Notre Dame the year before with Terry, but I don't think he did. Yeah, I mean, those were good games for him. Yeah, I thought he was really good in BC. He got a long pass taken away from a stupid offensive pass interference call, and so yeah, he found his stride as a passer, and now he's got better receivers. And also maybe Pokey, because Pokey's looked good, gang. Like he has looked pretty darn good out there. He's made a lot of plays, and when the way he played against Florida, he made a couple just ridiculous catches against Florida, big catches when they mattered. And so maybe that was, I know he's old and you're like, okay, he is what he is, but maybe something clicked with him. And, he's going to be, now that he's seen he can do it on that stage, even though they lost, maybe there's a chance he becomes not just a guy, but a good guy. Because that last game against Florida, he was a good wide receiver, man. And Travis rushed for 100 yards against Florida too. I don't remember that.
That's what I'm saying. I can't believe he's got 2,000 total yards and 22 touchdowns, and this guy can maybe get us to 8-9 wins. I get it, man. UMass, he only threw the ball 10 times. Look at North Carolina. He was 11 of 13 for 145. That's gross. But
that's not gross. Yeah, yes, it's gross. I mean, look at the rushing yards in that game.
I know, just lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had 3 games of 100 yards rushing too. Yeah, man, he's a different guy. He's a unique talent. There should be more games on that little game log than there are. Jacksonville State's on there, but that shouldn't count. He is a unique talent that should have played more last year, but still, keeping him healthy and upright is the number one goal because, I think he's a guy that can get you 280 yards a game, 70 yards rushing, 210 passing. But maybe with these receivers, it's more like 260 passing.
I mean, if we told you that he would complete nearly 64% of his passes and have 2 touchdowns against Clemson and not throw a pick, wouldn't you be like, yeah, they'll beat Clemson? Yeah, actually, maybe not. We said they'd keep it close, which they
look
did.
Look at the rushing. That's the rushing is -4.
Not
yeah, that's rough.
All right, that's a wrap. Somebody did want Johnny Buckets. I don't know. I don't have the schedule in front of us, and it's a Florida State show, so surely we can't tell you that we think Florida or Miami's going to have a better record than Florida State next year.
I know that Florida State has beat Miami 9 straight times in basketball. I do remember that. But
right.
the Canes got a chance maybe to make the Final Four. Give ACC a little more love. They better not. They don't need to go. I don't want Miami to go to the Final Four before Leonard Hamilton. That does not need to happen. I just thought about that. Yeah, Iowa State needs to take care of business.
Yeah. Just bet the under, everybody. Again, bet the under on it. And also a reminder, folks, come to Tallahassee for the spring football game. Support your Noles and come hang out with us. It would be fun. We'll be hanging out over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill the Friday, the eve of the spring game. Live happy hour going down 5 to 6 with Corey and Jeff. We'll be hanging out afterwards. And then on game day itself, a meet and greet at noon over at Hotel Indigo, which, again, top of the line hotel in College Town. Pre-game show with Jeff and Tom at 1 o'clock, and then a watch along and a post-game show afterwards. So all of that for a spring football game. Who loves you? Who loves you? Wes is also going to throw out a promo on the way out. Thanks to all of our partners, and thanks to you folks. Thanks to Ed, Mark. I think somebody else threw us some money. Whoever did, we appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. We'll do one more show. Actually, no, we'll probably do 2 more shows. I don't know. We'll do shows. That's what we do.
Softball team won. Softball team won too, Aslan.
10-0, right? 10-0?
Yeah. It was something. It was a lot to a little.
12-0. 12-0. Don't short shrift them, Aslan. I shall not. Devin Flaherty, 3 for 3 at the plate. Edenfield, career high 5 RBIs off 2 home runs and a double.
There you go. Good to see her back in action. Good player. Good player. Devin Flaherty, I hung out with her dad at the softball game on Sunday. Really nice guy. Are
they going to stop pitching to Michaela Edenfield at some point?
Let's pick your poison, man. Who are you going to go after? Harding? I mean, they got hitters up and down the lineup. That's what good lineups look like.
All right, there we go. Apparently, it's been 500 days since Miami's beat us in any sport. So,
wow.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Carry on.
All right. Good. Yeah. That's a nice little nugget.
Oh, well, at the buzzer, Khalil, $10. Sorry. What are some of the best receiver cores in FSU history?
Man. Khalil, you're the best, buddy. You're my man. You know that. I would say the somewhere between 95 and 100.
What I was thinking probably between are those that year? That's probably the.
95 had 96 Cooper, had right? Cooper, E.G. Green, and Peter Warwick was a freshman who came on at the end of the year. 99 had Warwick and Dugans and Anquan. I'll probably go with 99, even though Lavernius got kicked off halfway through the season. I'll still say the 99 one. People might think the Fab 4 one, but from the late 80s, but I would say the 99 one with Dugans and Menace might have been on that team, probably. Yeah. Menace would have been on that team. Yeah. No, we'll go with that one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Khalil, thanks, man.
You're the best, Khalil.
Briley also points out 260 per game passing is 3,300 yards in a 13-game season.
Are they playing a 13-game season?
Well, make a bowl game.
Oh, I thought we were just doing 12 games, so it's 3. Yeah, you're right, Briley. I was just once I saw those last 3 games he played, I'm like, okay, I can start believing he might throw for 250 a game. It just that hasn't really been his MO since he got here. But yeah, let's hope that happens, man. Let's hope he gets to 4,000.
Man, there was a time where we had Peter Warwick, Lavernius Coles, Ron Dugans, Marvin Menace, and Anquan Bolden.
Yeah.
In the same room.
Yeah, and Randy Moss could have been there, maybe, early on. Like in 97, Randy Moss would have been in that room, but Anquan wouldn't have. But, hey, it's all right. They still won. They still won a national title.
All right, we're really done this time. We appreciate your guys' input and interaction. We do love you. Thank you, everybody. It's been Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida.